So the doubt is basically on that visualization of the column operation. Is that the doubt?
यस सर, मतलब दो वेक्टर मैट्रिक्सेस थी, वो इक्विवेलेंट कैसे हो गई कॉलम ऑपरेशन से बस?
अच्छा, दो लाइक
और सर वो यूनिट मैट्रिक्स जो चेंज होके नई मैट्रिक्स बनी, उन दोनों में क्या रिलेशन है? अगर ऊपर वाली दोनों को हम इक्विवेलेंट बोल रहे हैं तो नीचे वाली दोनों कैसे आपस में रिलेटेड होंगी?
नीचे वाला, अच्छा तो अच्छा इक्विवेलेंट बोलने में एक प्रॉब्लम आ गया है। यू आर
हाँ,
नॉट
मतलब वो इमेजिन नहीं हो पा रहा कैसे हो रहा है।
equivalent in the sense that if the first matrix at the top, so we imagine it now as a set of column vectors, so we can say that it is a matrix. So the first matrix at the top, the leftmost one, and the rightmost one where we have done the entire set of column operation and we get the rightmost matrix. इसमें इक्विवेलेंसी ये है, द इक्विवेलेंसी इज इन देयर रैंक, इन देयर रेंज स्पेस एंड इन देयर null space. Basically a matrix, these are the identifying characters of a matrix, the its range space and null space, where it takes a particular space. So you are operating the matrix on a given space, where in which space it is taking that operated space. So suppose the operated space is three dimensional, but your matrix has rank 2, then your transformed space will be two dimensional, and your first matrix and the last matrix in the column operations both will have rank 2. In this sense they are equivalent, the sense being in the sense of their range space and null space, both will be the same range space, both will have the same null space. In that respect they are equivalent. That's why I am using the word equivalent and not equal. Obviously they are not equal, but they are equivalent. That means you take the first matrix and operate it on a three dimensional space, you will get a two dimensional space. That means you will get only two basis vectors for that transformed space. You operate the last matrix in the column operation on a three dimensional space, you will get only two basis vectors for that transformed space. Now why we are doing the column operations? Because in the first matrix, by just looking at the matrix, it is difficult to comprehend what is the number of basis vectors of its range space, what is the number of basis vectors of its null space. It may be difficult to see that by looking at the first matrix. So we do the column operations and we arrive at the last matrix where it becomes very clear. So if there are so it is gets very clear how many dependent columns and how many independent columns are there, and the number of independent columns will be the rank as well as the dimension of the range space, and the number of dependent columns, which basically becomes 0 here at the last matrix, it becomes 0. The number of 0 columns will be the dimension of the null space. As well as we get another useful information, we obtain the basis vectors of the null space as well as the basis vectors of the range space. Those columns which has not become 0 in the last matrix are becoming the basis vectors of the range space, and those columns in the bottom matrix, so the top columns has become 0, but the columns corresponding to those top 0 columns in the bottom, which columns you get, they will become the basis vectors of the null space. Now how does this become? For that you have to get a very clear understanding of what exactly is null space and what exactly is range space. If you have that understanding, then you will be able to appreciate that yes, these are the basis vectors. That understanding you have to develop. Only then you will get the understanding that yes, these are actually the basis vectors of the range space and null space. And that's why the first example that I did, I tried to do that column operation like v1, if v1 gets changed like v1 minus v2, I had written v1 minus v2 there. Then v2 like v2 minus v3, if we are subtracting the third column from the second column, then I am writing v2 minus v3, and that thing is getting reflected at the lower matrix. That is what I pointed out. So when you are able to appreciate this fact, so you just appreciate it, you don't need to visualize it anymore. So you appreciate this fact and then you do the column operation. You blindly do the column operation, but at the end when you are interpreting, then you again go into your imagination of spaces, and now you appreciate that the beginning matrix or the beginning set of column vectors, their dependency independency relationship is same as the ending set of column vectors, and that's the reason why the range space and the null space will also be the same. थोड़ा सा टाइम लगेगा. I know that it may not be very obvious at the very beginning. थोड़ा सा टाइम लगेगा, थोड़ा सा इसमें हमको मतलब we have to be with this mathematics for some time. Then we have to look into it again and again, and always imagine in terms of 1 dimension, 2 dimension and 3 dimension. Then the imagination will take some strong foundation and you will be able to appreciate for how it is working for higher dimensions also. Once that picture of 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension becomes clear in your mind, that's why I told you to do the first few examples in 3-dimensional in the limit of 3-dimensional spaces and draw up the vectors of whatever examples you are doing. Then you will be able to appreciate. If you Bhaskar, if you start with a 3-dimensional matrix and do the column operations and you draw up the vectors, in the 3-dimensional plane, or maybe you start with 2-dimensional, you can draw up the vectors. You see that both the vectors will both the set of vectors will give you the same space, basically the same dimensional space. So that is something we would need to realize. Once this realize becomes strong in us, then we will be able to trust the algorithm. Actually, then we will be trusting the algorithm and taking decisions based on the algorithm. After that, we don't need to imagine the higher dimensional spaces. Actually, we can trust the solution. Shivam has some doubts. Shivam?
Yes, sir.
Bol.
Sir, actually, I had a doubt in the last tutorial, that is 1B. Sir, in that there was a question in which we were given an operational amplifier and we were asked to derive the transfer function in that question. And further, we were asked to derive the state space realization from that transfer function also. So, that transfer function came out to be an improper one.
Then,
Yes.
some
we
of you
have
are
the
asking this
SPR?
question actually. So
Yes,
your
sir. So
doubt is,
improper
bolo.
for improper transfer functions, we can have SPR.
Well, I will say in this manner that I also have not looked into the solution of this question, but I have been assured that there is a solution. So probably when the solution is revealed, even I will come to know and you will come to know. So this is not said by me also. So I had asked the person who has said the question whether this is actually there or not. But in my experiences, I have not come across such dealings on improper transfer functions being converted to state space. So I will also have to see how it is being done, what exactly some trick may be there or something might be there. I will have to also see. So when the solution is revealed, everyone will come to know actually. So I can answer this much only about that question right now.
So one more thing,
Hmm.
sir, in that question only, I assumed the gain of the operational amplifier as AD. It was not given in the question, but
Hmm.
I assumed it and then tried deriving the transfer function of that circuit.
Hmm.
And also, we generally neglect 1 by AD na, in questions of operational amplifiers. So I didn't neglected that 1 by AD part and then
Hmm.
derived the transfer function properly.
Hmm.
Then what the final transfer function came out to be was so it wasn't a improper transfer function. Like it was having degree of 1 in numerator and degree 1 in denominator. And then I derived SPR for that, so it came out to be a proper one. So
So
like we
maybe that
can,
is a solution. I don't really know. Maybe that is how how it will get solved. So I don't know actually. I have not seen the solution. Uh, so I cannot say, I cannot comment on this basically.
okay, so
Hmm. So you do it according to what you have found out. So probably you can give some multiple different type of answers also. And like I am also not sure how it is being solved, and I have not seen the solution, frankly speaking. So I cannot give you any direction or any hint on how to go ahead with the solution. Okay.
so when will the solutions be circulated for the last
Yeah,
two
so
tutorials?
we have to fix a time for closing of the assignments. So you have fixed it as Wednesday, na? So
So
that
Wednesday.
assignment would have been closed yesterday, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I have asked them to have the solution ready. So they will compile the answers and then we will circulate. Okay.
Okay,
Within
sir.
next week's time, next week I guess things will be more sorted out regarding the solutions and all. Um, because this week's tutorial will also get ended next Wednesday. Perhaps by that time or after that, both the solutions can be circulated together. Something like that will be done. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Hmm. And from forthcoming weeks, we will normally try to like distribute the solutions on Thursday itself. So after closing, we will upload the solutions also. Okay, so you can lower your hand and see if someone else has any other doubts. So some
Sir,
people, yeah.
I'm having one more doubt, sir.
Hmm.
Sir, in the similarity transformation,
Hmm.
like we define the similarity transformation as a x equals to p times z,
Hmm.
where p is the similarity transformation for this particular equation. So, like if we are asked to derive the similarity transformation provided with x and z, like it is stated in the question, x and z are two similar vectors, and now derive the similarity transformation for these two. Then what will be the procedure for this?
X and Z are given.
X and we are stated in the question, X and Z are two similar vectors. Find the similarity transformation for them.
So you assume a P. You assume a P so that your PZ becomes equal to X. I guess the Z values of Z and X are given probably.
Yes, sir. X and Z are given numerically.
So you can assume a P actually.
Then we need to find X into Z inverse then.
No. You cannot do Z inverse, no. You cannot do Z inverse. You assume a P and then you see what values of P actually fits the solution.
So we need to find this by hit and try method.
Or there can be something else. There can be other ways also. I will not tell you the solution. You think about it. Think about it. There can be other ways also. मे भी न्यूमेरिकल सॉल्यूशन करना बहुत दिन छोड़ दिया मैं, ठीक है, तो थोड़ा सा मुझे भी टाइम लगता है सोचने में हाउ टू गो अहेड विद द सॉल्यूशन, बट जितना मुझे लग रहा है दिस कैन हैव अ सॉल्यूशन इवन विदाउट हिट एंड ट्रायल, as far as I recall. This sort of problem can have, you have to do some bit of algebraic thing here and there. Harsh has something to say.
Yes, sir. Sir, in lecture 2A, you said one statement: for any two vectors u and v in n-dimensional vector space, there will always be a matrix M such that MV equal to U. That is, for any given vector, we can have a suitable matrix so that we can convert it to any other vector. So, sir, I have an intuition for it, but how can we say that it will always be true, or how can we prove it like that?
You can always find that matrix. This is the statement, na? So here also it comes like this only, that you have a x which is in n dimension, you have a z which is also in n dimension. They will always be related by a matrix P, and now the problem is basically to find out that P when you know x and z. So this is the same sort of a situation. However, your question is more from the theoretical side, how we can be certain that a P always exists. So here what should I say actually? Is there any way of theoretically proving this? So we have actually proved that if a matrix, if a similarity transform is there, or we can always take a, we have proved this, that we can take a non-singular matrix and treat it as a similarity transformation, and then from the state X we can convert to state Z. And
or we can sir, do something like prove by contradiction that there doesn't exist any vector to which we can't go from the given vector, like that, something.
Yeah, but that sort of proof actually I have to see if there is some proof somewhere there should be some proof. It may be in some mathematical text. So we are not so bothered about that proof, but it comes in our intuition actually. So when we come to know what are matrices and what they do to vectors, then it comes to us very naturally that between any two vectors coming from the same dimensional space there would actually exist a similarity transformation, and we are happy with that. We have not thought of looking into the explicit theoretical proof behind it, but there must be a proof, and we have to find out where that proof is. So if I come across such proof somewhere, I will definitely let you know.
Okay.
Okay, so this is almost like an intuition. I have not bothered about looking into it further. Okay, anything else?
So if we need to derive SPR from the transfer function or from dynamic equations or from anything else, so we can like derive it in any form, na? First companion form, second companion, diagonal form. It's our choice, na?
If no form is explicitly told to you, you can derive in any form.
Okay, sir.
That is the beauty of working with SPRs. Actually, you can almost from any beginning situation, that is transfer function can be there, you can come to any particular whatever you wish, and then you can convert to a particular type of representation where you would be comfortable to work with. And what would be those similarity transformations? That is the only thing one has to know. That is it.
So do we have to show the steps for every question, or we can directly use the results of the derivation?
You can directly use the results of the derivation, unless it is asked to that you prove or you derive. So if this sort of words are not used, derive, proof, so if this sort of words are not used, then you can directly use the results. Okay. And I guess, Harsh, I was thinking about your question. So it is very closely related to what Shivam was asking, how to find out that transformation. So if you can find that transformation for the numerical example, then probably you can think about the general way of finding that transformation for any given x and z. And that would be the proof probably that it would exist, a transformation would exist, which would be non-singular. Yeah. So as far as I can do it in my head, I'm not very sure about it, but the way I am formulating the solution in my head right now, that would also give you the general proof in the theoretical side.
So why like we cannot proceed in this manner that x is equals to p into z, we multiply from right side the value of z in on both sides, then x into z inverse becomes p.
You go ahead with your solution. I will not comment on the solution because this is
So I am
in the
getting a
tutorial.
solution like I am getting some matrix p if I proceed in this manner, but is it the correct way to proceed? Like I am asking that.
You recheck, you verify your answer, you apply that matrix P on the Z and see if you are getting X. So if you verify and you see that you have got a correct answer, then probably this can be a way.
But sir, x and z are rectangular matrices. How can their inverse be calculated?
Their inverse is not directly calculated. If you had followed what Shivam has said, so their inverse is not directly calculated. There is some trick we have to do, and then you will get something whose inverse you can take. So you can consult with Shivam offline probably if he has found a solution. So I will not say whether that solution and the steps of that solution are correct, because then it will be like talking about the solution of the tutorial, which I should not do. Okay. Yeah, Shivam, you are asking something.
So I was saying that it was a simple square matrix. So inverse was directly calculated.
X and Z were square matrices.
Yes, sir.
Oh, then it would be very easy. I was thinking it is a vector. X and
No,
Z
sir.
are
X and Z were simple 2x2 square matrices.
okay, okay. Then you can do it by calculating the inverse.
Like it is the correct way, no?
Yeah, yeah. I think that would be the correct way.
Okay, sir.
Hmm. But you can try when X and Z are vectors. You can see how the solution would go. You can think about it. Okay, any other queries? Okay, so I guess there are no further queries on the lectures. So I had put up a poll, if you remember, on breathing rates. So let us discuss something on that. So I will show you the results. I don't know if you have already seen it. Let me see if I can share it. I don't know what I am sharing. Are you able to see the Teams platform? Or you are seeing something else?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to see my Teams platform, right?
Yes,
So
I see.
here is the poll. Okay. We have 60 entries were there in the poll, and you can see the result. Many people have given their own numbers, but these were within the ranges, so you should have put your numbers there. Anyway, as we see here, and it is expected that you would be having 10 breathings in 1 minute, because the average rate of human breathing is 12 counts per minute. Okay, so near about 12 in 1 minute time you would be able to take your 10 breathing cycles. That is fine, most of you are in that place. However, there are some people, the next most number is in 0 to 30 range, and in 60 to 90, so near about this average people are belonging. But you can see that some people are able to take, like 2 people are able to take 10 breaths in 2 minutes, within 2 minutes, and one person is there who is claiming that he can take, he or she, I don't know the gender, so he or she can take 10 breaths in 4 minutes. So this is really some achievement of a sort, probably I can say. So
So is
because
it actually possible for someone to take 4 minutes for 10 breaths?
who is this? I am not able to see you actually. कौन बोल रहा है? Shivam?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I recognize you by your voice. Okay. So I will talk about all these things. So I had put these numbers because I know it is possible, and I had also asked you if required to increase the ranges. So someone can be even better, probably. So now I will talk about these things. So first I should talk about my own breathing rate. I promised you to let you know about my own breathing rate. So I will stop the sharing. Okay, so there is no need to share anymore. So how do I stop the sharing? Has it stopped? Has the sharing stopped?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yeah, so my own rates of breathing. So the first day that I sat for calculating it again, so I forgot actually my rate of breathing, so I had to calculate it again. So the first day that I sat, I was feeling that I was breathing very fast, and then I calculated that I could take 10 breaths in 2.5 minutes, and that was when I was feeling actually that my breathing rate was quite fast. And the reason being that I had drank a glass of milk just some time before doing this, and I forgot that I had to actually calculate this, and because something was in my system, it needed some metabolism to burn that food, and that's why my breathing was also faster. So the next day I definitely made sure that I was not having anything in my stomach, and I again sat down before going to sleep. Actually I was doing this exercise, so I sat down and calculated my breaths, how long I take to complete 10 breaths. So once it was 3.5 to 4 minutes, another it was 3 to 3.5 minutes. So it is really absolutely possible to have 10 breaths within 4 minutes of time. So much time you can actually take to complete 10 breaths, and it can be even longer. So it can be even longer in certain situations. So those are not really very usual situations. They may not be very usual situations, but it can be longer, it can be extended. Now I will tell you about uh, how to actually, and what are the implications of this extending of the breath. We already have discussed that if we are able to take so what we are actually doing, given a specific length of time, some people are taking less amount of breath and some people are taking more amount of breath. So it is basically a difference in the input, air input, that we are taking in our system. Now if you visualize our system as a machine which is working, something which is working, okay, you don't have to think of yourself as a machine, but it is working based on some inputs. Some fuel is being consumed by this system, and the two fuels that we consume are food and air. Now one cannot have any control on the food for most part of their life, because one is served the food, someone cooks for them, okay, and whatever has been served has to be eaten. So there is no such control on the food. But on the air you intake, there is certainly your own control. This is one thing which is totally on you. So something we always try to think, what exactly I have control on in my life. I seem to have no control on anything what is happening in my life. You have this one control on your life: how much air you take to perform your actions. And believe me, and believe the results of the poll, that it is really possible that you can extend your breathing, you can slow down your breathing rate. And no matter who you are, at what level of breathing rate you are, you can always do this, and you can keep on doing this all through your life. This is absolutely possible. I was not having the breathing rate of what I mentioned when I was some years back. Now I have this breathing rate. If I continue consciously on certain practices that I do, then perhaps it will even elongate, it will even extend. Now the question is, why I will try to slow down my breathing rate. Now this answer already have been given to you. This will make you more efficient, because you are taking in input, lesser input, while performing the same amount of work or same amount of output you are delivering. Your output will not reduce because you are taking less input. Be assured about that. Your output will not get degraded, or you will not suffer any loss in output, but your input will certainly be able, you will be able to reduce it. Why this is happening? There is also some very basic science behind it. You will be able to understand when I talk to you about it. So imagine these two people, one person who is taking 4 minutes to breathe 10 cycles. So definitely one breath is roughly I guess roughly maybe 30 seconds probably, and another person who has taken 30 seconds to take 10 breaths. So those who are the very first column, right, first row, so they are able to take one breath in 3 seconds. 3 seconds में कितना हवा अंदर जाता है और कितना भी बाहर आता है, ये सोचने की कोशिश करो. Is our lungs so small that we can only take this? This is like 3 seconds happening, right? इतना ही हवा क्या जाता है अंदर और जगह नहीं है हमारे बॉडी में, हमारे लंग्स में. There is enough space, but we are not able to utilize it. Why does this happen? Because most of the time what we are actually not doing is we are not exhaling fully. जो हवा अंदर ऑलरेडी है हम उसको बाहर नहीं निकाल रहे हैं. We should first concentrate on exhaling fully. Right now, if I ask you to exhale and then ask you to exhale more, you will be able to do that. Right now you can test on yourself. Exhale and then exhale more. उबासी मतलब क्या है? Yawn. I don't know, maybe. So you can always do that. You can always exhale more. So you empty your lungs. Unless you empty your lungs, you will be not having any space to take in new air, take in the fresh air from outside. And when you start doing this, this has a lot of implication. So see, when you are not releasing all the air which is in your lungs, what you are basically doing is holding captive the carbon dioxide rich air within your body. And we all know that carbon dioxide is harmful for our health. That's the purpose of breathing, to bring out the carbon dioxide from our system and take in oxygen. But you are holding back the carbon dioxide and you are happy about it, because no one has really talked to you about this and you are not aware of what you are actually doing. Some people have said they are not able to exhale more. Okay, let me complete my all the things, then I will talk to you about all these things. So most of you will be able to exhale more, and when you are doing this there will be more amount of space where you can feel in the air. And when you are doing this, then what happens? You are taking in more air and you are breathing out more air than before. Automatically your cycle of breathing lengthens. So this is the first way of lengthening your breathing cycle. You have to not do any spiritual practices to achieve this. It is a very simple, practical, physical thing that you are doing. You are simply emptying your lungs fully and filling your lungs fully. When you start doing that, automatically some length of time will be increased. And you will also not have carbon dioxide rich air inside your system for a long duration of time. This will make your system healthier. So this is the first thing what happens. We notice an improvement in our health when you start taking full in and full out of air. The next thing that you will do to increase the rate of your breathing is do abdominal breathing. This is the proper way of breathing which we are never taught. But if you look at babies, if you look at any other animals, when they breathe, their abdomen would expand and contract. No other movement will happen in their body. Only their abdomen will come out as they are breathing in, their abdomen will go in as they are breathing out. This is the natural way of breathing which most of us are not doing for some reason, that no one knows why we are not doing this. To start practicing abdominal breathing, it is very easy. You sit in a comfortable position and place one hand on your chest and another hand on your stomach. Then you breathe and you notice which of the hands are moving forward and backward. If it is the hand on your chest, you are doing chest breathing, which is the wrong way of breathing, because our chest muscles cannot expand a lot, and that does not expand our lungs a lot. It is not able to fill in the lungs to its full capacity. Whereas if your abdomen moves, that means your diaphragm is actually moving up and down. So when the diaphragm is moving down, the abdomen comes out, and in the longitudinal position your lungs can expand to hold a larger volume of air. It can expand more, and it takes in a lot more of air than chest breathing does. So if you start practicing abdominal breathing, you will automatically notice that your breathing cycle has also increased, and that is the way to breathe actually. It would take some time to switch from what way you are breathing to abdominal breathing, unless you are already doing abdominal breathing, and I am sure most of you are not actually doing abdominal breathing. So I have only come across one person who had been doing abdominal breathing before I had told him about it. For all other people, unless I have told them that, see, there is a way of breathing which is abdominal breathing, are you doing that? They have realized that they are not doing the abdominal breathing. So I am sure that most of you are also not doing the abdominal breathing. So you switch to abdominal breathing, and it is very easy to do that. For a few days, over a week or 2 weeks, you consciously practice abdominal breathing. You know now how to breathe. You sit and start practicing that way of breathing. If required, put a hand on your chest and another hand on your belly and see which of the hand is moving. You be conscious about your breathing, you will be able to change it in no time. It can be changed very quickly. I have also changed my way of breathing. I was not doing abdominal breathing like obviously when I was a baby, probably I was, but somewhere down the line I started doing chest breathing, as all of us do. But when I came to know about abdominal breathing, then I realized that I was not doing it, and then I switched to it, and the switch was not very difficult. It took me around a week of effort. So after that, so there is some disturbance. So after that, when you start doing the abdominal breathing, it will remain with you. You will not shift back to chest breathing anymore. It is such a natural thing that once you come back to it, you will naturally keep on doing it. that will increase your length of breathing a lot, but probably it will not take you to the 4-minute thing, like 10 breaths in 4 minutes. And there is a cheating actually that I had done. Actually, I can confess that cheating to you. I don't know if the person who has claimed actually does this cheating also. But what happens is when you start breathing through your abdomen, and if you are also aware of certain spiritual practices, you will be able to do something which is to live without breathing for some duration of time. You can always do that. Even now you can stop your breath and still you will see that you are alive. You don't have to continuously breathe in and breathe out. We don't need to do that. Once we realize this, and we will be able to practice this, only when we are actually in a position to take long breaths. Okay, otherwise you will always find yourself short of breath and you will have to breathe very rapidly. So once you have come to the point that you are able to take longer breaths by practicing abdominal breathing, after that, after a month or so of doing that, you will realize that you are able to spend some time without even breathing. So I actually nowadays I do this, that I don't breathe unless I am required to do. So I can stop my breathing, I take in the breath and I don't exhale. After some time I exhale, and after exhaling I don't take in the breath right away. I stop for some time, give a pause, and then I breathe in. So I am always doing that. Even when I am doing some work or something, I am always in that mode of breathing. So that's another thing, that's a cheating sort of thing which I had not told you earlier. So that's something that I do which is not breathing. Okay, but it is also actually a part of breathing when there are certain spiritual practices which include this pause also in the breathing practices. But one cannot start with it. One has to actually first correct their breathing, and then they can advance towards including this pause in their breathing cycle. That extends, and this pause, theoretically, the theory of spiritual practices say that this pause can be extended. There is no time limit given. So it is a practice basically, they are saying. So it is on practice one can keep on increasing, probably they can keep on increasing it. I don't know. For my own experience, I have been able to do till 4 minutes, like 10 breathing cycles of 4 minutes when I am doing it very consciously. And when I am in meditation, that time it is much slower, and there is no way that I am able to calculate it actually, because when you are in meditation you will not think about calculating your own breathing rate. It does not go hand in hand with the meditation practice actually. But consciously I have been able to calculate till this 4 minutes length of time. And what I can say to you, and I can assure you, that you can increase your breathing rate. So if you want to increase your efficiency, no matter what you are doing, even if you are not doing anything throughout the day, even then your efficiency can increase, because you are taking less amount of fuel to sustain yourself. In that way you can increase your efficiency. So if you are interested in doing so, I have given you some tricks. The first thing, you should try to breathe out completely and then breathe in completely, and you should switch to abdominal breathing. If you do this too, you will see there is drastic improvement in your breathing rate. And if you are able to experience this, please write to me, and I would be happy to hear if you are able to do this successfully. and also that person and those 2-3 people who are in the 2-minute and 4-minute ranges, if they wish to get in touch with me to share their experiences, because I know that when this breathing cycle becomes so long, there are certain very nice experiences about your own personality. There is a change in your personality, and there's a change in your emotions. All these things happen, and if you have noticed such changes in your personality, in your health, health is the first thing that you will notice being changed actually. So in your health, so if you have already had those experiences, please share it with me, because I like to know these experiences actually. You can write to me in chat actually. Some chat has come up. What changes you noticed? I will not share it with in an open forum probably. Okay. So slow breather. I am not a very slow breather also. Okay. No problem. You can be a slow breather if you wish to. So it is up to your own decision now. So we can decide not to be a slow breather also. That is absolutely fine. But I have only told you what are the benefits, and it is a very practical consideration because it increases our efficiency, and it is the first thing, and you will notice an increase in your improvement in your health. That is the first thing you will notice. Then on your emotions, all these things will also start improving a lot. There were some technical questions which I missed probably. Sir, by similarity transformation, we mean to change the basis states of X to some other basis states. Yes. Sir, if X and Z are vectors, then we can find A and AZ matrix of both. Then by this English is not very good. Then by AZ equals to P minus 1 AP, we can find P. I'm not able to decipher what you have written here. AZ to P minus 1 AP. You can probably try to explain it to me in the chat in details. I'm not able to understand what you have written here. Okay. So already it is, we have crossed 4 o'clock. So I guess we can end the chat, end the live session now. And if you have further queries, you can please approach me directly, and we will also continue the discussion on breathing and etc. later on. After a few weeks probably we will see if some of you have pursued the idea of breathing slowly, and I have given you some solutions. If you want to get in touch with me and to learn more about it, I'd be happy to help you out in that direction also. So let me close the chat then, close the live session then. Okay, thank you for your attention.